And hello, everybody. This is Jerry Serino from the Median Podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining me today. Please connect with us on all the different social media outlets, and as well as go to fromthemedian.org if you want to connect with us there and see all of our past and current episodes. Hopefully, you are an avid listener, and if you are, you have listened to the phenomenal interview I had and testimony from Emma Johnson. She is a cancer survivor. She tells us her story of surviving cancer and going to the phenomenal Oasis of Hope Hospital. And if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and find it because you have to. Emma Johnson. I am joined today by Dr. Francisco Contreras. He is the director, president, and chairman of this great hospital, Oasis of Hope, and he's here to share some more about this excellent clinic. Dr. Contreras, thank you for being here.
Jerry, thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, I wasn't, admittedly, I wasn't aware of your clinic and Emma's story, and I was really excited to share it with our audience because I'm going to presume that most of our audience didn't either, and so her story was amazing. She told us a lot about the clinic. I'd love to hear about it from your perspective. What makes Oasis of Hope unique for people who are in Emma's type of situation?
Well, what separates us from the rest is our philosophy and the way we apply and design therapies for our patients. So our philosophy is based on two pillars. The first pillar is what the father of medicine said: first, do no harm. Hippocrates, 300 years before Christ. And what we interpret, how we interpret that is that we are never going to give anything to our patients that will not improve their quality of life, especially cancer patients that have suffered tremendous from the therapies. So in many cases, more from the therapy than from the cancer. And the second pillar is what Jesus said: love your neighbor as you love yourself. So we say, love your patient as you love yourself. And the interpretation of that is that we will never give a patient anything that we would not be willing to take. And this, changes dramatically. I don't know if you ever heard this, but most oncologists, they would never take what they recommend because chemotherapy is just so harsh.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part is that we are integrative. So we have at our reach all of the conventional therapies possible: chemo, radiation, surgery, hormone therapy, targeted therapies. Everything is available. But we also have, on the other hand, all of the alternative methods that have proven to be very, very effective. And because most of the patients come to us after having not responded well to conventional therapy, we use a lot more of the alternatives. Vitamin C in high dosages, high dose vitamin B17, hyperthermia, ozone therapy, so on and so forth. And our strongest therapy is what we call IMPACT, which stands for Immune Personalized Autologous Cell Therapy. So these are therapies aimed at developing an anti-tumor task force within your immune system. And this has proven to be very, very effective. So the combination of all of these things have helped us tremendously in helping many, many patients that were actually sent home to die. Like Emma, she was given only a few months to live, and here we are, a year and a half later. She's not completely free of tumor activity, but she's doing so much better. And her quality of life is amazing.
Yeah.
So she's back to doing exercises and doing everything that she wants. And so we want her to be a little bit more diligent with the program, and so that we can get her completely free of tumor, and that is a possibility in her case. So, in a nutshell, this is a way to understand the Oasis of Hope a little bit more. Let me just say one more thing.
Sure.
One of the biggest failures that medicine has, especially oncology, is that we only take care of the physical needs of the patients. And we forget that all patients, but especially cancer patients, have a tremendous need of emotional and spiritual support. Because for most people, the diagnosis of cancer in their mind is a death sentence. And so the amount of stress and distress that cancer patients have is enormous. And if you do not provide them with spiritual and emotional resources, your results are not going to be as good. And so we also provide to our patients emotional and spiritual support.
Yeah, and Emma talked about that and the importance of the spiritual side of things, and that was really inspiring to see. So, a number of questions come to mind. As again, I'm a novice. I don't know all this stuff. So, first question is, you think of a center like yours, you think obviously of cancer. What other types of diseases do you see most that are most prevalent at your clinic?
Well, we are completely focused on cancer. We only see patients with malignancies. There would be a tremendous benefit of some of our therapies to other chronic ailments, but we have no time or resources
Sure.
to provide services to other diseases.
Gotcha. Is there a type of cancer that you have seen has made more progress? You've made more progress in your methods than another type, like say breast cancer versus colon cancer.
Yes, there are some tumors that respond much better to our therapies than others, but most of them respond much better than to conventional therapy.
Mhm.
So breast cancer is where we have our best results. The highest percentage of responses in breast cancer. We have very good responses in ovarian cancer, also in colon cancer, in lung cancer, in prostate cancer, much less in pancreatic cancer, but much better than with conventional. Gastric carcinomas are also very aggressive, very difficult to treat. So the results are not as good as with the ones that I mentioned, but again, much better than with conventional therapy. Sarcomas is a family of malignancies that we were not treating because the results were very poor until we started with the dendritic cell based vaccines. They're called vaccines because this is the name that the developer at the University of Rochester gave to this therapy, but it's not really a vaccine. It's immune cell therapy. And the results to sarcomas have improved significantly with the impact protocol to the point that we are accepting now patients with sarcomas and also with primary aggressive brain carcinomas, which are very, very aggressive, very fast growing. But with the impact protocol, we have been able to see enough good results for us to recommend people to do it.
Yeah, great. That's great to hear. Again, further questions that come to mind, and why don't other hospitals? Why don't I mean there are phenomenal hospitals, or maybe they do. Why don't they offer this type of alternative care? I mean, because you're saying you offer both, right? You're not going to deny appropriate care if chemotherapy or radiation or
Correct.
whatever is appropriate here, but there are alternatives. Do other hospitals like well-known Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic and so on, do they offer this type of service?
The only in clinical trials, especially the dendritic cell based therapies, but they've been on trial now for over 20 years,
Hmm.
and still it's not approved. And the problem is that they want to convert the individualized therapies, which is how it's designed, into a drug. So they want to create what would be called a dendritic cell vaccine for breast cancer. It will never work that way because the design is personalized. So we obtain antigens from the patient's tumor or circulating tumor cells and create a therapy specifically for that patient and for that tumor. It's not going to work for anybody else.
Hmm.
And so there's no money to be made in individualized therapies. And trying to convert this in a drug for colon cancer, for pancreatic, it's never going to work. And that's why they've been doing this for many, many years. And well, here in Mexico, we were approved to do the vaccines, wow, 12, 15 years ago.
Amazing. And so what you're essentially saying about the drug companies is they want to, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, they want to be able to have a single type of medicine, mass produce it, right, at scale, and then anyone and everyone takes it who might need it
Yeah,
all throughout the country, all throughout the world. And you're saying that the real way to address it is to the individual's cancer, the individual's body, their type, their, everything else about them. Correct? Is that a good way of saying it?
that's absolutely right. And it's the way that it was designed and developed by Rochester University. It was never meant to be in mass production because it's made specifically for that tumor. It's not going to work in any other tumor because even though you may have two patients with the same tumor, the mutations that each one of the patients will have are very different from one to the other, and so every tumor has an identity
Hmm.
and that is very different from other tumors. You may have twins with exactly the same cancer, but the tumors are like them. Even though they're twins, there's going to be differences in them. And so the therapy is a very, very specific and individualized therapy.
Okay. Um, Maybe a stupid question. And again, I thankfully haven't had to deal with someone in my family with cancer and all that, because then I would have. I know plenty of people who have it or their family has, but I haven't researched and whatnot. What makes cancer so difficult for us to find a cure for? It seems as though, and again, maybe this is just the way it is, and there's other diseases certainly that are the same, but it seems like this stupid cancer, just we can't seem to make enough progress on it. What is so
You are
challenging?
you are so right. The war against cancer was declared in 1972 by President Nixon. And the researchers at the Sloan Kettering Institute promised the president that in 10 years they would find the cure for cancer. And here we are.
Yeah.
So the reason why cancer is so difficult to treat is exactly what I was explaining to you. So
Interesting.
in general, well, cancer is caused by mutations to our genetic code. So it arises from our genes and mutations of genes. And so in the last 15 years, not one chemotherapy has been developed, not anymore. I think chemotherapy is going to be a thing of the past hopefully in the next decade. Why? Because all of the therapies that are being developed now are targeted therapies. So they target the mutation in what the mutation causes. So mutations cause the production of certain proteins that are beneficial to that tumor. And so if you block the production of that protein or neutralize the protein, well, then the cancer is going to suffer. And so you say, well, wow, finally we're making great strides forward because now we can target the mutations. The little problem is that on average, let's say cancer of the breast has about 75 mutations. So in order to cure it, you need 75 targeted therapies, because the targeted therapies only address one mutation. And the problem is that we still don't have all of the targeted therapies for all of the mutations. Fortunately, just about every 2 months, a new targeted therapy appears. But we're far away from having all of the mutations targeted. And the other problem is the cost. The cost for every targeted therapy is about $10,000 for each one, $10,000 to $15,000. Some are a lot more expensive every 3 weeks. So if you have 100 mutations, you're talking about $1 million a month. And so that's not going to be the solution. That's why we believe that working for the immune system is much better, because the immune system it's going to be attacking that specific tumor regardless of how many mutations it has. And so we're very excited about it. So the future really in oncology that everybody is waiting for are the CAR T cells. So CAR T cells are very similar to the ones that we produce, but the ones that we produce have a lifespan. And so they die off and you have to revaccinate and revaccinate. CAR T cells are made exactly the way we do them, but they re-engineer the T cells to reproduce. And that's why generally you only need one treatment. The problem is that the cost is $500,000 per treatment. And some patients will need 2 or 3, and insurance companies don't pay for them.
Yeah.
So we believe that we are going to be ready, and hopefully within 1 year, to produce CAR T cells in our laboratory at a cost of around $50,000, which is still a lot of money, but a lot less than $500,000.
Right.
So we're working on that. And if you look in the literature, all the research on CAR T cells is amazing and very, very encouraging. They just need to work on the cost.
Yeah. It does seem that, every time I turn around, I see someone like Bill Gates and plenty of these people that have more money and they know what to do with. They're donating money to all sorts of causes, and that's wonderful and that's great. It seems as though this type of thing is an area that people with that kind of money should be donating to help defray the costs or improve or speed up the research and so on. Do they do
I'm
that?
not sure about names, but there's no lack of money
Okay.
for research in this area or many areas of cancer. Money has never been the issue. It's just that cancer is very complicated.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of brain power,
Yeah.
backed up by a lot of money, and still we're far from it. But CAR T cells are really a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Amazing. Interesting. Well, everyone should research, Oasis of Hope. Please go. We'll have all the information on fromthemedian.org. This has been phenomenal talking with you. I want to just, as we have a few minutes left here, just get some of your perspective on any type of. Do you feel that there's corruption? I mean, it sounds like there's maybe some degree of, lack of support by some pharmaceutical companies. Maybe COVID, I think, exposed some things. I don't know.
More
Go
than
ahead.
corruption is the way the system is set up. Okay, so right now in America, in order for you to do all of the testing that you need to do to prove to the FDA that your therapy is safe and effective, is about $1 billion. And so the industry says, well, if you're going to make me spend $1 billion, what are you going to give me? Right. And so the government says, I'm going to give you a patent. which gives you a monopoly of your invention for about 20 years. It's less than 20 years. And when that patent ends, then the formula is open to the public. That's how you get the generics.
Right.
So there are many natural elements that are extremely effective against cancer. And nobody will study or develop a natural therapy, even though it can be very effective, because you have to spend $1 billion, but there are no patents for natural therapies.
Mm.
So the day that you get the approval from the FDA, any laboratory can do it without spending 1 cent. So nobody's interested in studying the natural element, like all of the alternatives. It's not that they're bad because they're not FDA approved. They're not FDA approved because nobody is crazy enough to spend $1 billion knowing that they will never make that money back. So unless somebody comes up with a different system of incentivizing laboratories to work on natural things, they will never be studied. And although, let's say, vitamin C, all of the studies that we use to apply to the patient were done at the NCI, National Cancer Institute, proven to be very effective. Only in animals. It never got to patients because that's where you spend all, that $1 billion, and then they would never get it back. So nobody will be interested in investing in that. There might be corruption and yes, money and all of these things, but no, it's just a system, the way that it's set up.
Yeah, very interesting. I didn't think about it like that, but that makes total and complete sense of how that would work. And do you think that the FDA is and organizations like them are too tough, have too many
Yes,
demands?
yes, especially for cancer. I think President Trump reduced significantly the number of hurdles for drugs to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully that will help reduce significantly the cost of developing drugs, especially for cancer patients. But yes, it is very, very difficult to. So many laboratories, let's say they develop 10 drugs, and out of the 10 drugs, $1 billion a drug, they only get 2 approved. That's why drugs are so expensive.
Yeah.
Because they have to make that money back.
Yeah. Well, this has been really fantastic listening and talking with you. Dr. Francisco Contreras has been my guest. Again, director, president, and chairman of Oasis of Hope Hospital in Tijuana, Mexico. And
Yes.
very grateful for all that you're doing and in the way that you're doing it. You're doing treating patients in a unique way, spiritually, emotionally, and medically. That is absolutely fantastic. So I want to thank you, Dr. Contreras, for coming on the show and sharing all that you're doing.
Thank you very much, Jerry. God bless you.
Yes, you too. And thank all of you for listening to this episode of From the Median Podcast. We will see you next time.